Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Vital MX post-race show. We have two SMX champions crowned. We have a lot of shenanigans and on and off-track topics to dive into. And all in all, the 2025 SMX World Championship Finals delivered on all fronts. So this should be a very exciting episode, and I'm equally excited to share with you the messages from our sponsors like DeCal Works, Yamaha Motor USA, Yoshimura, Motorex, and Fox Racing. A lot of trophies and titles and whatnot amongst those five companies, a lot of them coming this past weekend. I know I've been a little bit harsh on Las Vegas Motor Speedway for some time now, labeling it one of the worst events of the year, but this was a little bit of a rebound, I think, for the venue in just its second year. But what says you, Michael Lindsay?
I think all in all, I'm still similar as you, critical of the event for the finale and the sake. I still want something a little more iconic, but how it performed in terms of this weekend, the racing, everything, I thought it was greatly improved. I'm trying to think of compared to all the Charlotte layouts versus these Vegas layouts. I think it was my favorite drag strip layout so far.
I wouldn't go that
Uh,
far. It was the stadium section was so Mickey
yeah.
Mouse back and forth.
Well, on track walk, I heard somebody mention there's only one rhythm lane on this whole track, and I went and looked, and I was like, wow. I was kind of taken back by that, even though I'd already seen the track map. Actually, seeing it in person, it is somewhat shocking because I would think you think of Vegas, you think of the finale, especially compared to LA the first year. You expect the finale to be maybe a little more supercrossy, but with the deductions down to one rhythm lane, it kind of loses some of that feel.
I still feel like it's a fairly anonymous venue. Like in the
Yeah.
day, I think it lacks something. I don't even know how you quantify what that is, but I guess that's what special events have. But
Yeah,
once
there's not as much atmosphere. Like Charlotte, take drag strip to your point, you've defended Charlotte a lot, and Charlotte has a really good atmosphere racing. People like there's a lot of buzz in the pits. Vegas is a little flatter.
once it got dark, once the lights went on, it was loud. Not as many seats in the grandstand, so it looked packed. And yeah, as far as the night show goes, I felt like it was fitting for a finale. Now, of course, helped by the racing, the on track action. And for that, I immediately go back to what I said last week. This was a terrible track, I felt like, and everyone complained about it on Friday. Some people suggested that on Friday night they knock down the entire stadium section and just rebuild it because that was the only solution. But as we said in St. Louis, or as I said in St. Louis, actually, track, venue doesn't really matter. It all comes down to the situation of whether the top guy hole shots or doesn't hole shot and where their dynamic sits. Because ultimately, if this weekend was a Haiden runaway and a Jett runaway, it would probably reflect poorly on the event. But instead, the racing was unlike anything we've seen before, and therefore the event gets its flowers. I don't think, I almost double down now, I don't think we have a lot of control over how good the racing is. I think it just happens. Unfortunately, Las Vegas did happen in a positive manner.
I agree with that because you look at both situations, like must situations Hayden had to create controversy, had to create shenanigans to get a title. So that creates a must situation for racing, and then a little bit of his start situation, the first moto, and then even Jett, just the way it played out, he turned into a must situation against Eli, which created great racing.
Yeah, and we typically start with 450s on this podcast, but we're not going to on this occasion because, of course, 250s are being discussed around the world, not just in SMX, but in MXGP as well. The 250 class has really had quite the weekend and really put its foot down for notoriety. So, Jo Shimoda is the champion. We will get to his credit and all of that shortly. But what do you make of the Haiden Deegan defense or offense? I don't know what one it would actually be classed under.
Well, I'm going to state one thing that it ties into the next topic about MXON. I will say right now, speaking of your GP comment, I'm extremely disappointed we don't get a DeWolf Dirt versus Deegan showdown in 250s based on both of their series finales. It would have set up a great, great just storyline there, and basically everybody waiting to see who's willing to clean out who for an MXON win. But Oh, the Deegan situation. I have sat and thought about this and thought about this. First off, I'll go the reaction of being on the floor. And I told multiple people this. I don't know if I've ever heard a crowd, an industry, media, photographers, the whole, everybody on site cheer as loudly for something to happen to someone. In this case, I'm talking about Haiden ultimately taking himself out of the race, breaking his own collarbone, having to walk off the track. The last time I remember that much of a unanimous cheer was Weston Pike demoing Vince Freeze at A2. Was it A2 the one year?
Yeah.
That's the last time I remember everybody. I mean, not to name it, people who are PR people, people who are photographers for the team, that star, people of that nature that are working for that team in some way still cheered the situation because it had gotten that ludicrous. Now, how you feel about the ludicrousness of the situation, yes, I get you can defend it different ways. We'll get into it like must situation. You got to do what you got to do to race. But how it played out, yeah, a lot of people say it like karma, this, that, like Hayden has carried himself in a way, and there are results in carrying yourself that way. There is, everybody likes to talk, especially now, about a political climate, about freedom of speech, freedom of how you're going to carry yourself. Yeah, you can do and say kind of whatever you want, but there are consequences then. And at the end of it, I don't know if Hayden really cares that much, as he stated at one of the earlier SMXs. Doesn't care if you hate him or like him. He's here to do what he wants to do and be his own man, regardless if you like it or not. And I will say, my personal standpoint watching it, yeah, I didn't care for it. That's just my opinion.
I didn't care for it, but I did appreciate the entertainment
Yeah.
value. So I feel a little bit hypocritical here because it was good entertainment and
Yeah.
it was very compelling. But this is my overwhelming gut feeling leaving the finals. Hayden has talked the talk for so long, and this was the first time that he's had to walk the walk and show that, he can back up the talk. And in that sense, my gut feeling is how embarrassing because Hayden has presented himself as this unstoppable force. You want to mess with
Mhm.
me, you don't know what's coming. That's a direct quote to Joe. And ultimately, what we saw is he's not very good at the whole game playing, aggressive riding, because he took multiple attempts. And from my perspective, Joe responded to each attempt so brilliantly that it
Mhm.
almost made Hayden look a little bit silly. Um,
I
now,
think that's what makes the ludicrous of the situation compared to DeWolf's attempts on Simone, which were a lot more tactical and finished the job per se. Each one of the failed attempts does make, yeah, to your point, it devalues that persona he's put on.
yeah, and this is Hayden specific. This doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily just go to aggressive moves. But
Yeah.
in my opinion, if you're Hayden and you are talking so much shit this weekend, but also presenting yourself so strongly as this fierce figure that everyone else should fear, when you come into a scenario like this, you need to reinforce that. You need to back up your words. And there wasn't any of that because ultimately every attempt was failed. And the one attempt that got some sort of a result in the form of Joe crashing, although Joe didn't actually hit the dirt, I don't think. I think he just kind of stood up. Hayden was the one who came off worse. But again, I feel hypocritical because I loved it from an entertainment point of view, and it made the finals. Everyone was on the edge of their seats. The tension before that second 250 SMX Moto was through the roof, and that was brilliant. And I would take that drama over Hayden running away and accepting second in the championship, I believe. So, but equally, yeah. Again, if you look at Hayden in a bottle, you got to back up your words, and he didn't do that. It, I guess ultimately, a dog that barks so loud, you can't see the dog. The dog is barking so loud, so you're like, "What dog is this?" And then you see the dog, and actually, it's quite small, and you're like, "Oh, that's nothing to worry about."
Well, there's two parts that stand out to me in this in the terms of picking fights. Like I think a lot for a while, going back, what has it been like 2 years now? Kind of when him and Levi's first spat started, it got played off a bit, but clearly that has carried weight over time, and they've continued to have little moments here and there. Like Levi, in a sense, played a part in that. He had nothing, however you want to look at his off-track excursion. um, he could have been one of the factors between Hayden, because Hayden could have looked at the race as like, okay, I'm just going to go out here and win the second moto. When the overall Joe's back a few spots, Joe has to battle through. But you have people that, in a sense, are kind of more on Joe's side than Hayden's side. Like Levi wasn't going to mess with Joe, but Levi's going to do anything to mess with Hayden at this point. There is value in not making so many enemies on the track that nobody wants to help you. And speaking of help, I will say, you probably heard this before that second moto. There was a lot of talk on the heading to the starting line about what the other star guys were going to do. Somebody sent an anonymous message to somebody on the Honda camp that something was going to happen. It got brought to AMA. AMA was very carefully watching at the start to see if somebody was going to pull something from that team. But ultimately, the look I had is it was Hayden versus everybody. Like nobody's really down to help him in a sense. And at some point in your career, that may come to play again, like I said. But the other one is the factor of where we are in terms of his career. We only have one 250 title left, likely West Region next year before going 450. And there's been this talk and these comments and getting ready to go to the 450 and how people have viewed how him versus Jett. And a lot of people have just straight up said him versus Jett, or even in the bigger picture, him versus Chase and Hunter, all these guys. And if you're any of those guys from that top class looking down, you see what just happened. Even if, I don't think realistically like any of those top guys they know what he's capable of in terms of on track, but the way he has like said he'll come in, I don't think any of them have been really that worried about how aggressive he would be or this or that because they know it's the 450 class and they know things change. However, if you see that outcome, you're like, lot of talk, no bite. Okay, like if he wants to get that shitty with me, I already see what the outcome is going to be, or like what he really can do when he mouths off and tries to back it up.
To compare it to MXGP, because this is a brilliant comparison, I have borderline no issue with what Kaiser Wolf did because he took one shot in each moto and they were successful. And I think you've got to take your shot.
Yeah,
So in that respect, I'm like, yep,
yeah,
championship day, you did what you had to do and they worked.
yeah.
I
I had
don't
that.
know where I stand on Hayden's multiple failed attempts, and now there's people
Yeah,
online calling for a black flag because it did get to the point where we were on attempt 5, and here we go again. What's gonna.
yeah.
So at that point, does it get a little bit too silly? I don't know. Again, the championship is still on the line, so that is still high stakes, and I do, to a degree, believe that with that much money, that much prestige on the line, anything goes. But I don't know. I think maybe there's like an unwritten rule that hey, you've had two shots, like
Yeah.
that's you do, you're done.
No, I agree. I had that opinion actually. A few people I ran to after the race, industry people, friends of mine that just watch moto, like I got to like, what do you think? And my first comment to most of them was like, I actually don't have that much of a problem with him trying. That's part of it. Like if you I know some people want to sit back and go, that's not honorable, or that's not how you race, or that's not how you win a championship. A lot of people saying that have never been in that situation. And part of why, no offense, like great for Joe. This is Joe's first professional title. Look at how many Hayden has wrapped up in a shorter amount of time. Hayden has this mindset of do what it takes to get it done. And you do need that as a champion, especially to be a multi-time champion. So I respect the fact that, hey, you're willing to do what it takes. And part of that is if you got to put somebody down, I agree with you. It's a very weird gray area and it's a very weird line to draw in the sand, but it is sort of, I want to say like an unwritten rule or just kind of a feeling of like, okay, yeah, I get it. You only have 1 point. You kind of have no control over it, even if you win. If you're coming through the field and you get to him, take a shot, man. That's kind of part of it. If you guys are near each other and you back off and try to make it happen once, that's kind of, if Hayden would have done it on the first shot and done it, yeah, he would have had some people boo him. There would have been some negativity, but that's part of racing. But when you start just laying up and constantly trying to screw with somebody and you can't get the job done, I know it's hard to figure out a rule for that, but that gets to the point of like, yeah, warn the guy, black flag him. You can't just spend the whole race trying to kill somebody because you can't get the job done by beating him heads up and by just cleaning him out the first try.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the 5 point penalty for aggressive riding?
I saw some people think that wasn't enough. I think it's a little bit I think it's okay because ultimately it was the ultimate stinger of you already made yourself look stupid. That's opinion based. He may not agree, but I watch people with Haiden Deegan merch shirts flip him off. Like it made certain people feel a way about him. You've already given people a way to feel about you. You've lost, he lost money and points because he actually put himself in a worse championship position. Then they knocked him a little bit more at the end. That is what it is. Now, if he would have taken himself and Joe down and Joe would have been the person hurt, that's not enough of a penalty. Like it would have to be more severe depending on the outcome of that final situation. At least that's where I stand is the outcome sort of has to fit what ended up actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, hypothetical, but if he had taken Joe out to the point where Joe had gotten hurt, I think anything goes. Hey, you're not racing the next race, like
Yeah.
which is Anaheim one now. Like, yeah, because I don't. If that did play out, I don't think disqualifying from Las Vegas is even enough. Obviously it didn't, so it's kind of irrelevant. But yeah, to your earlier point, I was very impressed and amazed by the crowd reaction for Joe. I
Yeah.
would argue, maybe not this far. I could argue that the crowd was louder for Joe across the night than they were Haiden, which is
Hmm.
very, very surprising. Very surprising, and it
Yeah.
kind of shows it again shows the reaction to Haiden not walking the walk to match the talk. I think
Hmm.
that's where fans go, okay, well, this guy should win then.
Yeah. I think, of course, Hayden is hands down has a larger following, is a more popular rider in a sense than Joe. So I think earlier in the day, I would see, like in the earlier part of the races, each of them making passes as the race was moving forward. Like I said, there was cheers for both because it was a championship battle. It's what we're excited to see. We're waiting to see how it plays out. Joe's a good dude. People are liking him more and more in the way he carries himself. But once it came to the conflict, after maybe the first, like again, there's people that are Hayden supporters. After the first attempt or two, like I said, I saw people with Haiden Deegan shirts flipping him off, like as he was walking off the track. Like people were over it, and I think that comes back to what we said. It's a very weird rule. It's a very drawn, weird line in the sand draw, but people just have a certain amount of respect for how many times you try and what outcome comes of it. At the end of the night, yeah, it's a huge upswing for Joe in terms of what people think of him now. Like, I talked to Joe after the race behind the podium for a minute, and I mean, dude, his bike, like his radiator's crushed in. He said the one time Hayden hit him, he said, say he goes for a split second, I thought I broke my leg. Like he goes, I had dead leg. He hit me hard enough the one time in the side, and it bent the whole radiator and shroud in. He did say he was extremely like I think of Joe is such a calm guy, but he said it was extremely stressful. He wasn't sure like, do I keep pushing? Do I just let him go? Like I don't know. He said he spent laps trying to figure out in his head what he should do or not do, but ultimately the way he carried himself through the situation, like I said, kind of matched all the moves and checkmated him most of the time. Like I think it's elevated on top of the results Joe's had this year. It has to elevate Joe in the industry's mind, other riders' minds. They're going to race him next year, and the fans.
I got a bit of heat because in my interview with Joe, I said that he proved to be the more well-rounded rider tonight, which I meant Las Vegas
Oh,
specifically. But I stand by that because Joe beat Hayden at kind of his own game. So on this
yeah.
night, yeah, he maybe not been the fastest rider, but he proved to be the most well-rounded because there were many elements to this battle, and as we all saw, he came out on top.
One thought, a comment. I feel like it's so funny. I'm so focused on the Joe and Hayden thing. I forgot probably something that played also into even how people were reacting to the Hayden and Joe stuff going in the second moto. It's by itself, it's a racing incident, but how it plays out for the whole night a little bit was the Hayden Deegan Ryder DeFrancesco collision. Like there's already, and also if you watch the replays, like how aggressive Hayden was, like almost tried to, what was it, the step up out of into the motocross section per
Yeah.
se, almost killed Seth coming out of the section for no reason the one lap. So I think just other than the incident with Joe, yes, Hayden is again, I respect the do what it takes to get it done, but it does add up, and there's a difference between respect for, you know, what somebody's capable of doing and willing to doing, and also just how you feel about it. Like those are two different things. And a funny comment I was going to say, did you read the Yamaha PR for the Deegan thing?
No.
Um, Short version, where do we get to the it talks about unfortunately finding himself on the ground after coming together with another rider in front of him who was already starting to crash in the sand.
I've never heard someone as described as starting to crash.
Yeah, I don't think Ryder was starting to crash. He spun and shifted lines, but I was very yeah, this comment was
I,
interesting.
I don't really come down on Hayden for the Rider D thing at all, other than maybe you can say like have a bit of awareness that Rider D wasn't launching into the section the same way as you, and you're close enough now where like maybe you need to not just do your own lines.
Hey,
Um,
Ryder D was one of the first people I saw to congratulate Joe after the race, which I also responded with, "Are you okay?"
I also I don't like the fact that okay, in the moment, like Hayden didn't even look at Ryder D on the floor. So like
Yeah,
whatever though, you're getting back in the race as a championship on the line. But I did think that on the podium there would be some acknowledgement after Moto
yeah,
One of Ryder D, who at that point we were all really thinking the absolute worst.
yeah.
So I was a little bit like, when there wasn't even a, oh, I hope he's
Mention, yeah,
okay or whatever. But hey, that's just Deegan's brand. Like, it's not
yeah,
surprising. That's just the way he does things.
yeah. Again, it comes down to do whatever you want. It's how people are going to perceive you. I know Hayden's already said he doesn't care. Well, if you don't care, still people are going to mention it. Like they look and go, "Man, that's just, not cool."
And obviously Hayden, we haven't even mentioned it, but Hayden did break his collarbone in the
Hmm.
final incident. I'll admit that in the moment, I thought he was just walking off because he realized his hopes were dead.
Hmm.
And at that point, I had some very strong opinions, but the collarbone is broken. Um,
Well, I even went and shot him getting on the cart, and he had such a, I mean, the term is simple. I'm not saying this about, he had a shit-eating grin on his face. He was just like, and I don't know what he was feeling emotion-wise, what was around his head, but I saw him for a second. I was like, is he really, like, I did question it. I'm like, is he really hurt? I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if
yeah,
he's just over it and just like, it's done, like F it, walk away. Um, so I wasn't sure. I definitely fell into the category of like, is he really got a broken collarbone? But they confirmed it. He went X-rayed. He does. That's why he walked off and ultimately couldn't pick up the bike.
yeah, and that ultimately means he is out of the Motocross of Nations. Of course, we've seen collarbones come around quite quickly, but I asked Will Hahn after the race if there's even an interest in rushing it, and he said not really. Like, why would you? But rarely that goes well, and yeah, I think that's done.
I don't
So
know. Went pretty well for Cody Schock, who Hayden did that too before. Just saying.
well, Team USA need an MX2 rider,
Yep.
so come on up, everyone, it seems, because everyone expects a phone call.
Yeah.
I think it will end up being Justin Cooper in the MX2
Yeah.
spot. The only rider
Um,
who, I mean, I don't believe this would happen because of Kawasaki's um, position on the event, but the only rider who I don't know anything about, who I'm like, well, that would work, is Kitchen. Um,
yeah, I think he was, well, we both know, so to clear up, because I saw some people mention Seth, and that was my initial 250 because he's been on a good run. And Mitch is, we know Cowie isn't, but Mitch is always down to support the event. Seth is having surgery in 2 days, like I think tomorrow,
yeah.
Tuesday. He has that ultra colitis. He's got stomach issues. He's going in for fairly major surgery, which I get. I saw some people, like I saw one or two people on forum, tell him to step up and just push it back 2 weeks. Like this dude has been racing a whole summer with some severe internal problems. Like he needs to get it fixed. I get it.
Well,
Um,
the surgery is for shoulder.
is it for shoulder?
Yeah.
Somebody told me it was for his stomach.
No, no, the
Never
surgery
mind.
is for shoulder.
Well, thank you,
Um,
Lewis. I'm all
yeah.
wrong there. I thought it was for his
Um,
inter. Okay,
He
never
said
mind.
that
I'm stupid.
surgery is for his shoulder, and then the time off for the shoulder will help the stomach issues and everything because it will force
I'm
him to do
stupid.
nothing. But he said
Um,
he's not going to be back on a bike until mid-December, early January. That's
yeah, it's
wow, that's
serious shoulder
significant.
surgery. Um, so the default, and I instantly actually thought of this the opposite way. I mean, we've talked about this on the pod a couple times since the team got announced. Default, if it was either Eli or Chase, something happened to, we would have Jay Coop as a 450 guy, which we'll get into what happened with Chase soon. But so I instantly thought, okay, Jay Coop's our 450 guy. RJ drops down. And I said that in the passing as somebody as I was leaving off the second moto off the track. And they're like, no, I think he'll be the opposite. And sure enough, I mean, it makes good sense. Like at the end of the day, yes, RJ was on a 250 a short time ago, but RJ's just a different RJ on the 450. He's so solid and consistent. That's what we need at Motocross of Nations. J Coop has been successful there on a 250, and J Coop's been asked to drop down. Was it last year, the year before? It was mentioned in both times. He was kind of like, eh. I heard he was just in. Actually, there one you probably heard the same. I heard Webb was like, please put me in as usual. Webb's always
Well,
down to do it.
not just me that heard the same, all of the Vital MX listeners, because I interviewed RJ, Jacob, and Coop. And yeah, RJ said, without question, I refuse to ride a 250, and I've already told them that. Jacob, honestly, it's it has to be a done deal because J Coop wasn't even like talking hypothetically. He was like, "Yeah, 250 time. It's gonna be great."
Yeah,
And I like even if I like tried to allude to the 450, he was like, "Yeah, the 250, that would be fun." And I'm like, "Okay, so we're just doing this then."
yeah.
And yeah, Coop said, I mean, Coop actually just put out an Instagram post, which I actually felt was quite touching. It really hit me a little bit in the feels. He said that he knows he doesn't deserve. Oh, hold on, now I'm on cold enough. So, oh, it's because I felt. Um,
We missed it.
he said, I know I'm not the most deserving at the moment, but I love my country and will ride any size bike if I'm needed." But that's quite nice. Like that's quite. I know. In an era where the motocross of nations gets so much shit and rolling of the eyes from some riders, seeing that being put out there so blatantly, I like
Yeah.
that. That makes me feel good about the event again and everything. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, it just also makes sense logistically to put J Coop on Hayden's bike rather than get Pro Circuit to come on out. You know, like it's
Well, even some easy ones, he can either go like he did last time. He can go direct as is on Hayden's bike, or because the 250 rule is different for MXON, there is no restrictions on suspension. Like he's been on work stuff on the 450, and they did that before. I think when he raced it last time was, the guys he's been working with Gil and stuff, they can just transplant that stuff onto the 250 and tweak it if they want to, depending which route they want to go. But his route has some of the best options and easiest to transfer to.
yeah. But
He
as it
literally
stands,
can be on Hayden's bike. If he wanted to, he might be on it right now, literally today.
as it stands, I would bet all my money that Team USA will
Yeah.
be Eli Tomac, Justin Cooper MX2, and RJ Hampshire. I see no reason other than maybe Kitchen enters the fray, but honestly, I just don't see it. So, yeah, I see no reason why that wouldn't be the team, and the riders have essentially pledged their
Oh,
support
thanks.
and dedication.
Let me ask you this. I know there'll be an MXON preview pod, but just very quickly in the moment, that lineup, how does that make you feel in terms of, favorites basically going into it? I think even though Australia is defending, there was a lot of hype around Team USA being in the backyard with a very strong team, especially having a strong MX2 guy against Australia's. When you look at it now on paper, how much does it affect your opinion on, like, does MXON get better for you in a sense? Because I know before that you were kind of like, I don't know on you know how competitive some other teams would be. I think a lot, like I said, there was a heavy favoritism towards Team USA.
Yeah, now my heavy favoritism goes to Australia. I think Team USA still has a shot, but this makes Australia the favourites in my eyes, quite clearly. Um, as long as Webster just does his job and gets one solid moto, which is exactly what we were saying last year. So in my mind, we've just reverted back to the same sort of line of thinking. Um, yeah, but I would expect an announcement from Team USA maybe Thursday, Wednesday, a little bit later in the week. Obviously, there is still some things just to work through. But a great shame. It really is a great shame because Hayden and Chase would have been great at that event and it would have really added a bit of spice. But things happen as Team USA know only too well. But just to give Joe his props more so, yeah, phenomenal. Didn't put a foot wrong. Executed the starts and even the second moto. He said the start was on him, that the jump wasn't great, but he came out in the top five, like didn't freak out. Maneuvered his way through the first turn to come out with a decent position. He said after the race, obviously he made that last corner pass on Tom Vial. He said that his mechanic put on the pit board 5 points on the last lap. And he had no idea what that meant and thought it might mean he needs 5 points. So
Yeah.
that's why he passed Tom Vial in the last corner because he didn't know if that meant he needed that for the championship. And, thinking about it now, I have no idea what 5 points could have possibly meant on the pit board. Like,
The Deegan got penalized 5 points.
what? Hey, Joe, Deegan's
Yeah.
out. But by the way, just so you know, he got
Yeah,
penalized
yeah.
5 points. Like, that's not
Or
happening.
because he definitely wasn't up. Was he up 5 points at that point? He would have been way higher than that over Seth, wouldn't he? Or no, because Seth was.
Well,
What would he have been? Pre pass, where would he have been above Seth?
oh, I don't. Who
Yeah.
knows? That's
Either way, a little too much to think about there in the moment.
Yeah, who knows? But good job to Joe, and congrats to Yoshimura as well, because winners in the 450 class once again, of course, but putting that 250 power into action is arguably the harder challenge in SMX. So to win both classes and 250s really says a lot about what they do over there. And you can head to yoshimura-rd.com to see what's available for your motorcycle. And you know what? Congrats to Fox Racing as well, because I never checked this, but I believe this would be their first American championship since AC Outdoors. From preparation to testing, from anticipation to the start line, it all builds up to this, the gate drop. Just like pros and aspiring amateurs alike, the all-new MX26 Racewear collection is built for the build-up and beyond, with movement-conscious design and material choices paired with thoughtful graphics that celebrate individual performance and style. Each piece stands as a representation of the many moods of mayhem and expression found in the heat of the battle. Deceptive calm to complete chaos. What will you unleash today? Thank you to Fox Racing, and congrats to Fox Racing and Yoshimura for their success. I really thought that after the finals, I could get something from Tom Vial on what's happening next. I really thought, and I put myself out of my comfort zone. I was like, you know what? Let's just get this done, and nothing. It's like trying to interrogate a federal witness.
I'm sad about it because like we've talked about, you've tried in post race. I've brought it up in the pre-race press conferences to him, especially as of recent, because it's not a gotcha thing. It's, hey, you won two MX2 world titles, came over here, won two titles in 3 years, and you're leaving. Like the end of your 250 career, the end of your time with KTM, the end of your time with USA. Like people kind of want to celebrate what you've done and want to, put you in that regard and kind of, miss you in a sense. Like, no, we're not going to see you again here next year. We'll see you racing, but not here and on this team and on this bike. Like, let's talk about it a little bit. But man, he just the keeps the wall up.
Yeah, I said to him, I think my question was like, this is obviously very emotional. This is the end of an era, and this is a massive deal. And he went, yeah, the end of my 250 career. And I jumped in and went, no, there's bigger stuff than that going on. And he still proceeded to just talk about his 250 career. So at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to try again because clearly this is where we're at. So after the interview, I went, I don't know why you're playing this game. And I went, you're actually making me question myself about whether something's going on, like something could change. And he just started rubbing his hands together like RV. And I was like, what does that mean? Like he was really excited, but he got me. Or like he was like, like
maybe that was his final checklist for his time in the US. Get Lewis Phillips.
I was like, what does the hand rubbing mean? Like what on earth is happening? But I still, despite this, believe he will be Jeffrey, or maybe not. He'll be on Honda HRC next year. Allegedly, Jeffrey Hurling's teammate.
Who is allegedly also going there. Allegedly. Tim Geiser is allegedly not there.
But yeah, I actually spoke to someone at KTM and said, what's the deal? Like, have you told him? And they were like, no, he's just being respectful. Like, we love Tom. He's a nice guy. He's just being respectful. He doesn't want to say anything wrong. And I was like, well, that's nice. I can side with that. That's nice.
I'm bummed because then my end of KTM, I'd be like, I would almost force the issue. Like, hey, we're going to miss you. Let's do something at the end of the night. Like, have a bunch of me come or like, let's have a big banner. Like, thank you for your time with us.
They'll do a video. Like, there'll be a video and a PR saying something soon.
I'm sure. I just want it to be personal at the track, all the people there, everything. Yeah, but I get it.
No one's going over. We're all busy and it's dead. Like it's 11 p.m. Like no one's going to be there. And then
I don't know something. I just want something.
Chase is fighting for his life, and we're like, hey, Tom, hey!
Fighting. Whoa! Chase is fighting for his life.
I will get into this.
It's extreme.
You know what? We don't need to talk about everyone specifically because we're going to probably do some sort of bigger 2025 recap in the coming weeks. But Jordan Smith dislocated his shoulder in practice and then not only came back to put it in the top 10 each moto, but God rewarded him with 10-7 for 6th overall. Like, what a reward for your effort. That is just like, you know what? You deserve it. Here is a really random overall score with those moto results. And of course, the moto results are redundant in this format because you get points based on where you are overall. So really, 10-7, 1-1, it doesn't matter. If you're 6th overall, you're 6th overall. So congrats to Jordan. And also a little bit of a tough end for Triumph Factory Racing's sophomore season, it must be said. Faulkner went under the knife to fix his meniscus. The ACL is all good. Everyone's very keen to tell everyone that the ACL is all good, and I buy into it. I do believe it. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, well done to Jordan. Cullen Park was really good in the second moto. Came
Mhm.
in clutch to win some money.
Yeah,
Like
bumped
that's
him. He bumped up how many? He bumped up like 7 or 8 spots in the championship for the purse fund or something like that
yeah,
overall.
crazy.
Yeah, it
Um,
bumped him up quite a bit. He definitely said was like one of his outside, I think, of the podium ride, that was possibly one of his best of the season.
I still have no idea what happened to Levi Kitchen in the second moto.
He
Puncture?
had that off-track excursion and then he walked off like it was a technical issue, but I didn't
Well, it was
fully
definitely a
understand.
technical issue. Like he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
looking down, and the bike just stopped. So like
yeah.
I thought the bike had died because he came out of the corner and just stopped. But then the bike, he still managed to ride down and do a few sections. So I don't know. He was looking down. I don't know if, like, yeah. Again, he came to a stop. So I was like, chain snapped, but no, he was still moving around. So I don't know what that would have been. But going out for a whimper for Levi Kitchen, Deegan fans will claim karma. Um, I was very surprised. I saw a video on Instagram of the second 250 moto start. From the outside, Max Anstey gets arguably one of the best starts I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. He only didn't get a good start because of the way the first corner was built. He got pushed wide, but I could not believe the jump and speed he was carrying into into turn one. Very surprising. And speaking of star, Cole Davies crashed out, didn't race for second moto, or did he even start the first moto? No, he started the first moto. Um, he injured his thumb in Charlotte, and as far as I can tell, I think he's going under the knife this week, and I think it's going to be a fairly long. It's a UCL tear, I think. So, like,
Yep.
I think he's going to be out for some time. So that would push him to East Coast,
Yeah.
without doubt, which is obviously a bummer. And
Which I
also,
kind
just
of
the shine has gone off Cole Davies a little bit.
definitely the other than the one outdoor moto, it hasn't been what it was at the end of Supercross, which I will say again doesn't terribly shock me because something I mentioned to someone is I feel like pretty much it's kind of funny for somebody that grew up, of course, in New Zealand where they don't have a lot of Supercross. I feel like he just really dedicated himself to it, which he had to get a ride in a sense the last 3 years. Kind of towards the end, it's like he's not been touted as a great all around motocross guy. The shine was all based on Supercross, a little bit similar to somebody else who kind of, interjected themselves in a conversation late in their careers, Beaumare. Like same thing. Juju Shine came from his Supercross results. It's never really been around his outdoor results, and there's kind of, you know, room to build. However, because of Cole's Supercross season, I don't think people view maybe him and Juju in the same light in terms of, hey, they're very heavily prepared for Supercross. They still need time to go at pretty much everything else.
Yeah, I feel like the Davies hype coming into SMX was overstated, to be honest. I didn't buy into the excitement at all. I thought he was going to be a 5 to 10 guy. The hype was through the roof with some people, though. It was really quite something. Let's move on
Speaking,
to the 450
well,
class.
one last one I was going to say for 250s is who did we watch race their final race with their current teams? Tom, Ty, Bennick. That was Bennick's last race with
Yeah.
Star. Lux's last race with Ayo, and anybody else in that main was their final race with their current team. I think that
No,
was it.
there's really not that much
Yeah.
out. I
Oh,
mean,
Yoder's last race with PRMX.
last race for Ryder Dion Gas, but obviously
Yeah,
same
yeah,
team.
same team but switched to Husky. Yep.
Um, yeah, on to 450s, where the obvious result came from the event. Jett Lawrence is your champion for the third year in succession. But there was a moment early in Moto 1 where I doubted it, and I thought that Jett just didn't have it on this night. He was back there in third, fourth, riding around, doing fine, but not exactly gaining ground. Didn't look like he had much over Hunter and Eli. And then just he randomly decided to go really fast, and things happened really quickly. And then before you knew it, we were crowning a champion. It's kind of my assessment of Jett Lawrence's night.
I mean, both motos are like that. Even second, for a while, I didn't know if he was going to get Eli, and I questioned. I actually thought about this one quite a bit because, of course, there's a whole conversation we'll have about the emotional reaction after the race. Like Jett definitely feels terrible about, in a sense, taking this out of Hunter's hands again. And even in the second moto, all the time he was kind of just chilling with Eli. I was like, is he kind of weighing up like, do I want to go all out? Can I convince myself it's okay to be here? Like, I wasn't really sure where he was at. And But to your point, both motos play out the same way, and it's like we've seen at other races this year. Just when you start to think maybe this is not Jett Lawrence's night, he pulls it off. And I will say for him to go three-time champion now in SMX with never coming in as the points leader, the seated leader, to come in one of the years on a new bike and coming off injury, like I know it just feels like the default, like, oh, Jett's the best guy, Jett's the best prepared, Jett should win this, but he also faces his own struggles, even like these races, like the issues he's had that in terms of starts and putting himself in not great places, but still making it happen. I know some people might overlook the fact that Jett won because it seems like it's the obvious result, but there's also a lot to sort of applaud him for and recognize him for in a sense.
Him scrubbing in the first moto, scrubbing over the bridge next to the start, getting the power down, running it up the inside in that 180 turn. That was arguably the most impressed I've ever been with Jett Lawrence. And it's in the subtleties of sections like that where there isn't necessarily a different way to do them as far as like jump combination
He just does it
lines.
better.
He just, yeah, he can just do it better. And it almost doesn't make sense how you can be that
Yeah.
much better in a section which is technically one big jump. Like,
Yeah.
there isn't
Do you
much
ever
to
see
it.
that, like comparing him to Hayden in 250s this year? There's times where Hayden has made a big moment by doing something different than the rest of the class. But like I said, a lot of Jett's moves have not because Jett's quadding something, not because Jett's sending out into non-existent land off a jump or something. It's just all of a sudden, whether it's Hunter, whether it's Eli, whether it's Chase, he does something better than the other best in the world can do by doing the same thing, but just doing it that much better. And like I said, that is its own hugely impressive thing.
Yeah, no, without doubt. And that is the type of stuff that I think would cause his competitors to scratch their heads because it's not like a case of looking at it and going, okay, I need to quad that jump. That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
Just got to execute and then I'll be there. It's looking at it and going, so wait, how is he that much faster in that one little section that where I'm doing exactly the same line? Yeah, superb. And to your point, it is a little bit, I don't want to use the word uncomfortable, but it is a bit sad that the juxtaposition of the brothers fighting for the championship, one winning, one losing, it does take away from some of the celebrations and the mood on the podium after the final moto. I mean, there was a TV shot of Jett and Hunter sat behind the podium before the celebrations, and it just looked, everyone looked
Oh, it
dejected.
those two particularly, like it's a bit of a way. So photographers were all running. I get to the podium, only one other photo guy being there. Like we get there right after Hunter and Jett sit down. Like the most of the team hasn't gone there yet. There's the PR representative, and that's about it. And the two of them didn't say a word for minutes. And you would watch their reactions, and Hunter is just like wiping his face and sitting there and just kind of like zoning out for a second. Then it would hit him, and you could see the toll kind of weigh on him. Jett, on the other hand, is sitting there and he just kind of keeps looking over at Hunter's reaction. You can see every time he sees the emotion Hunter's going through, you can see it put a toll on Jett. Like, if I didn't know anything, I'd walk up and think both those people saw their dog shot in front of them. Like, I've never seen such a somber reaction to a championship. And it's hard for most people to understand because you would think, like, the initial reaction of somebody's, I just won $1 million. I just won a title. I'm to be like, but they have lived a very different life and have a very different relationship than anyone else out on that track does. I'd actually had me so concerned because I didn't realize Sexton had had his crash and was laid out and got backboarded. And I got told that right when I got around to the podium. Somebody looked at me and goes, dude, Chase, I think is messed up. Like they backboarded him. He was laid out forever. And then based on the boys' reaction, I had a minor freak out where I was like, oh no, they've gotten some bad news I don't know about because again, their reactions were so down for a minute. I'm like, they know something I don't know. And then it settled in like, oh no, this is just them reacting to each other. This is just the emotional toll that the two of them being this competitive against each other is.
Yeah, I feel for Hunter. Like even in his podium speech, you could genuinely hear how gutted he was. Like there was no hiding it in the inflection in his voice and whatnot. Whereas last year was a different scenario. Obviously, losing a championship in exactly the same manner 2 years in succession is going to sting a little bit harder. The emotions are going to be heightened, and I think that's why you saw the same emotional reaction on this occasion, just magnified compared to
Hmm.
previous years. Like that's ultimately what we saw. Makes me wonder what's going to happen if it happens again next year.
Well,
Um,
I was going to say that. Imagine it's because Hunter is better than Hunter of last year. Hunter is riding phenomenally well and he's putting himself in this championship. Like he put himself in the right situation so many times in these three races to make this happen. Again, it's just got to be harder for him than anyone else because, like you say, if you're Eli and Jett does Jett things near you, you see these little glimpses at the races. But a conversation I had with Hunter earlier in outdoors was, what's it like during the week between you two? Like, how high is the intensity? Is it higher than on the weekend, less? Or he basically said the intensity during the week was high, and he went to tell me like, there's days where I have my brother, like, but I think what he meant is if they start together, he can't get around him or something. Cause he went to say, like, we each have our days, but then he kind of alluded to the usual, he stopped himself and he's like, but my brother just kind of always has this extra bit when he really, really needs it. And then he joked, he goes, that's why half the time I think he's sandbagging during the week because it almost gives me, he kind of alluded to it, gives him false hope sometimes, like because of how close I think they are neck to neck during the week. But somehow when the time comes, Jett just does this.
Yeah, in a sense, I want to celebrate Hunter as if he did win the championship because he was
Same.
that good. Like this is another massive step in his career. He was brilliant,
Mhm.
and I want to give him his flowers in that regard. But obviously, it's hard for him to accept that or accept the positives for bright lights in the moment when ultimately the hard fact of losing the championship is what is staring you in the face. But I think that as time goes on, wounds heal. I think that we and he will look back on SMX as a very poignant free race series for Hunter, where he really once again accelerated his own self worth. I think that will
Yep.
be clear to all. I just think that right now it's maybe we're a little bit too close to it to really appreciate what we saw.
Yep.
Um, I'd love to go back actually and see how, because obviously Hunter was off the podium in Charlotte. I wonder if, second, third there would have helped at all. Maybe not. I guess not. But
It's hard because
um,
Charlotte's that standard points
yeah.
round. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I will say it. I've been very critical of this series, just how playoffs work out, but the point structure has been fun. It did play a very fun card into this last one.
yeah, like no one knew what the hell was going on in the second moto, but maybe there's some sort of beauty in that. I don't know. Like like the points as they were run were on the big screen, and obviously it was changing with each position. That still gave me no context as to like, oh, okay, so if he makes one more pass, I had no idea. So, but maybe that's good. I don't know. Like maybe it's nice to not know. Maybe that adds excitement. Maybe we as sports fans, and I think everyone who's into this sport is really engaged. Maybe we know too much. Maybe it's nice for us to not know once in a while. Maybe that's where we can take something new from the experience. And when I say we, I mean us and fans. Yeah. How do you feel about Eli Tomac? Because I felt like he rode exceptionally well, and ultimately, I'm a little surprised that the end result ended up being third once again.
Same, and I go back to it. Somber reaction across the podium. Even you could see it a little bit in Eli's because I think Eli knows he rode well. I think we can all say he had an exceptionally good night. Same as you. I look at his third, I'm just like, man, I'm kind of surprised. Like he rode so great across both races. I think, again, you could see it even in his reaction. There's a little bit of a head scratch, like, damn, that was good, and I'm still third.
Yeah, that I think that's my overarching thought process is like, okay, so that looked like at points that looked like peak Eli Tomac, and that wasn't good
Mhm.
enough. Okay, like I'm a little bit like, hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
it's also semi surprising to me that in in numbers are hard, numbers are hard. In 11 of the last 14 races, Yamaha have been third on the 450 podium. Now, well, we've just continued that run. Like, just weird. Like,
yeah.
and it says a lot, I think. I don't know what exactly, but it says a lot about how impossible the Lawrences are to overcome.
Yeah. If
Um,
I'm Eli, the meme of the guy's got all the different stuff on the board and he looks crazy with the marker and there's all the ideas and all the lines pointing to each other. That's how I picture Eli's off season the next 2 week. New KTM circled, each of the Lawrences circled, weaknesses circled, and him sitting there going, "What do I do?" Like, because I see her thinking that right now. Like, what do you do?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe just a change of surroundings will refresh him and give him newfound hope, and that will, even if it's not better, it will kind of trick something mentally, and he'll be that engaged. I don't know. Um, but still, like, I want to give Eli his credit because, again, like, I feel like he rode really
Hmm.
fucking well.
Yes.
Like, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do with any of this. It's all quite confusing,
Even
to be
even
honest.
qualifying, being a big open fast track, like it's Eli-esque. Like some of the open top sections, he was beyond shredding. And again, the eye test being right there, shooting the stuff. You're watching going by, going, this is like very peak Eli. This is what I've seen at some of Eli's best races. This is the intensity, the everything about it. But then that's why I'm saying you walk down, you're like, he's still third? Like, how?
Honda have maintained their unbeaten 450 SMX streak, and as a result, so has Yoshimura. So congrats to them. But I'm curious, like so much of Tomac's career has been built on Tomac at the speedways. Oh, and these are closer to that to a
Hmm.
degree. And yet, it's so I wonder if we need to start unpacking why hasn't Eli Tomac won an SMX race yet, or even a
Yeah.
moto. I don't think he's won a moto. Or did he win a moto in Texas last year? I feel like for some reason
He
my
won a
mind is telling me that in Texas, Chase and Eli won the motos, but it was Hunter that won the overall. I don't know why that would be the. No, no, that was completely wrong. Hunter and Chase won the motos. Eli went 2-5, so maybe I'm
Okay.
remembering Eli's second place as closer than it was. But yeah, weird that Eli, like, I don't know. I think that when this format was announced, I feel like everyone was like, this is going to suit Eli. Wow, we're really making a Speedway championship? For let's talk about giving Eli an advantage. And it's not played out. Wonder why. I mean, I wish, in this regard, I wish that he would be more open and tell us more. I don't know. Also, um, I have to say, if you were at the Pulp MX live show on Friday night, great time. The whole Eli jokes were fucking hilarious, and I will never stop laughing. And I'm here for the Eli jokes. They weren't derogatory; they were fine. But like the Eli jokes were fucking hilarious. And if you were there, then I'm sure you will agree as well. That's just my
Give me,
final
I
point.
didn't hear this. Give me a sample.
No, we just been on a theory for ages that there are four riders leaving their teams: Vial, Chase, Prado, and Eli. And Eli and the others are just like burning things down, and it's terrible.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
Eli is a class act because he deserves all the attention because he's just going out
Yeah.
slowly. So I pushed back with Weege and was like, "That's terrible theory." I said, "Headline: A motionless man shows no emotion." Like because that's ultimately it. Like what you wouldn't expect Eli to be doing anything. But anyway,
I was, I was to say because even we all know that Cowie didn't end well, but Eli never
it's just,
directly.
Eli doesn't do like he's not
I
emotional.
was
Like
say,
it's just
I was say
whatever.
because we all know that Cowie didn't end well, but it's not really ever off anything. Everybody quotes what like John Tomac said in an interview about, it, and John's not exactly an emotional person either in that sense. Give me a quote where Eli was like, "F this, I'm out of here."
But then, so I said to Ouija, I know what you're doing. You're pandering to the fans because you know that take is going to make everyone super happy. So I see you. I see what you're doing. And then every
I
single
see you,
time,
TV. I see you, broadcast man.
every single time I tried to talk, he would just interrupt me and go, "Who else thinks Eli Tomac's a class act?" And the crowd would erupt. And I'm like, "See." And like it was just, and then the funniest part is he went up to Eli on before the show and told Eli his theory, which is bizarre. Like you're telling Eli, like, "Hey Eli, I think you're a class act," and then he did, and then Steve said to him, "So what was Eli's response?" And Weege did the head nod, the Eli head nod, and that was yeah, just very funny in the moment. Very funny.
So does that's great.
Maybe the recording of that show's going out, but I hope it doesn't. We're debate. There's internal toing and froing. Some people want it out. Some people really don't want it out.
Post it, post it, post it.
Anyway, funny. I like funny stuff. Let's see. Cooper Webb, anything to say there? No, I think he did what Cooper Webb expected to do. Similar with Roxon. So let's go to Chase at this
I
point.
mean, similar with Rox, I'd like again just eye test. I thought Roxon rode very well. It's a fourth, but he rode very well as well for being an open fast track layout
Yeah,
on Lindsay.
the Roxon RJ Chase trifecta in its own world was a very entertaining little dynamic. There was some quite good racing there. Which let's talk about Chase. I first of all, this was my gut reaction. When have we ever, and I would happily accept an answer here because I can't think of one. When have we ever seen Chase Sexton stay down? Because his thing is like bounce up and then just storm off in a huff.
This is
Like,
true.
like when have we seen him stay down? So when he was down for more than a lap, I was like,
Yeah.
okay. Like I started. I mean, I think I'm quite. What's the word? Not hypochondriac. I don't know. I do think worst case scenario in these
Yeah.
instances. I
You're a
don't.
pessimist.
Okay, that I guess. So I'm like, okay. So then, like, I left a couple of laps before the 450 moto and just start asking people, like, what do we know? Have you seen him? Well, did you see it? Where is he? Like, because I didn't even really couldn't really figure out where he was. Um, and then so again, stretch it off. When do you see Chase Sexton on the mule? I don't know if I've ever seen him on the mule, apart from I guess when he broke his femur in his first ever Superbike.
I'm thinking like 250 career maybe those last time or yeah, the femur of the 450 because I was thinking about that. I was like, it's been a while.
Like even the Detroit crash with Cooper Webb in 2022, he was hunched over on the side of a track, but like getting himself moving. So anyway, that was scary. And then I spoke to RJ about it because I knew that he was near him. So I said to RJ, like, what did you see? And RJ was like almost in shock. You could tell he was like, I don't even really want to approach that subject because that was something. So then I'm like, okay, what was this? And then a fan in the pits stopped me and they had a video of Chase not after the crash. So at this point, I hadn't seen the crash after the crash, but laying there before the medics had got to him. And I said, yeah, I don't want to see that. Like, I'm done. I've seen enough. Like, honestly, the fucking most
Yep.
horrific video I've ever seen in my life. Like, you see that video and you go, that guy's dead. 100%.
Yep.
So, happy ending? Just a concussion and a weak shoulder? Which, as someone at KTM told me, anyone other than Chase is seriously fucked up after that crash.
Yeah.
Which I honestly agree with. Like, imagine Jeffrey Hurling's crashing like that.
Yeah.
He'd be dust.
Just snapped in half.
Actually, you are.
I
I'm gonna
mean,
text
yes,
him and
base
ask.
case scenario because I'd heard the same. Because when somebody tells you Chase has been laying there for 4 laps and hasn't moved, they had to backboard him. Yes, same gut reaction pops up of that's not Chase. If Chase is laid out and doesn't move, he's hurt. And I'm like, so that's why I said when I got to the podium and somebody tells me that, and then I see the Lawrences in the most somber mood ever, I'm like, that's it. Somebody said that the Chase is dead, paralyzed, something because this emotional reaction over here is like, how's Chase fucked up? So yes, best case scenario in terms of that, but also we hear the term weak shoulder. I am very nervous on what does that mean? Like if it is bad and he needs surgery and we're getting into the Cowie conversation in the off
Well,
season, there's all kinds of question marks now.
he had a weak shoulder after Iron Man as well. So
Yes.
like I'm kind of thinking maybe he just has a weak shoulder. I don't know. And obviously, but
I text him, weak shoulder, friend?
there wasn't a need for surgery after Iron Man. And I can say, as far as I know, there isn't like it's not like Iron Man. Oh yeah, I had a weak shoulder, and someday this is going to need work. Like I think he took, I think 10 days off the bike, 7 days off the bike, and then started riding again, and was like, obviously we saw him in Charlotte. So I'm at the moment I'm being an optimist. I'm like, oh, it's just a weak shoulder again. It's fine. But I do think the Nations is out, obviously because of the concussion. And yeah, it's tough deal and fucking bizarre that Chase Sexton has crashed out of every single SMX finale. Like that's weird.
Yeah, I was thinking
There's
about the
no rhyme
last.
or reason to that.
I forget last year's, but I remember the Honda one at LA.
It
The Honda one at LA was pretty big.
yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like that's bad luck on another level because it's not. I don't think it's necessarily his fault. But it's irrelevant. But going back to the first moto, I want to dig into this because it was very similar to St. Louis's first moto, where the first half he's riding. It's not like he's killing it, but he's riding, doing laps normal, and then suddenly starts looking around. Suddenly goes a lot slower. Like there had to have been a problem there because he was doing long looks over his shoulder with 4 laps to go and
Hmm.
just dropped anchor. So like there has to be something. St. Louis Moto One and Vegas Moto One must be linked. There has to be a correlation there.
Either
Too similar.
someone with a bike ride. I mean, I ran into one person that's, I would say within his camp or around his camp that commented to me in passing is this reminds me of the end at Honda. It's just not, he said that had just very negative. Basically, he said it's not good.
Well,
Like,
in other news, the sky is blue. Um,
but just like add to like if you're that think of riders that get like if something like clearly he's had issues with the shock on the bike and we know that. The stuff like that, just kind of one of those things where it's towards the end, you're frustrated. Every little thing that kind of feels like it goes wrong with the bike gets in your head, and you're just looking around like, why am I doing this?
well, I don't know. It's just a tough ending to a very up and down uh, 2 years with KTM, which I think scholars will write novels about in years to come because there's so much to unpack. Obviously, the question that looms large in my mind, which I don't know if we'll ever get an answer to, maybe in a month's time I'll mention it, was the crash induced by some sort of suspension discomfort like that? I don't know.
Basically, somebody from his camp told me his recollection of the crash is that the rollers that he G'd out and basically drug his feet, where it's like rutted going into those. That's what I heard from somebody that did talk to him, I think, right after. That's what the running theory was that it happened.
Well, the fan video
Which,
of the crash is also horrific as
oh
well.
yeah,
Don't want to watch that again. I'm happy. I've seen that once. I'm good. But yeah, we wish Chase Sexton well. And you know what? If his shoulder needs some help, he could pour some Motorex oil on it. Motorex rider for just a little while longer. Motorex, known for high quality engine oils, also has an entire line of clean care and lube products to keep your bike running strong and looking great. Maintenance made easy with race proven Motorex clean care and lube products. But yeah, the nations, although it's not confirmed, I think that's done for Chase and Hayden. I think like if we get any sort of hint that either Chase or Hayden are considering the nations still, I will be so surprised. Like I'm so convinced it's done for both.
yeah.
So that's that. An emotional end
I'll
to.
say to that end too, because back to I was, fully expecting to go to Motocross of Nations and watch Eli's final race on the Monster Energy Yamaha 450, and then to watch Chase's last race on his Red Bull KTM 450. And Vegas is actually Chase's last race on that bike now. Did
I
not
mean,
expect that.
not to make this all about me, but let's make this all about me. Has no
Oh
one
God,
thought of Lewis? I'm going to the nations now with no Chase Sexton, no
no
Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Hurlings,
Hurlings.
no Ben Watson.
You
Someone
still
else.
have
No Max
Jeremy?
Anstey.
You have Jeremy.
Yeah, I've got one friend. This was going to be the social.
That's your only.
I've been telling everyone all year this is going to be the social event of the century for Lewis, and everyone's leaving me.
One. You have one friend, so screw Steve, screw me, screw Sean. Like the rest of us just can go burn in
I'm
hell.
just going to be. It's fucking. I messaged Sewer and said, "Well, great news. I've got an opening. It's no longer Saturdays with Sewer. It's a weekend with Sewer because I've got nothing else to do and no one else to talk to."
I'm gonna everywhere I see Sewer walking, I'm gonna see you like 2 feet behind him.
No, it'll be I've Jonas and Vlanderen and Rasmus and
Oh, look at this!
Kai
You do
and
have
but
friends.
I Jeffrey, Ben, and Chase, I would say are like my closest friends. So it's sad. It's just sad. Sad. Anyway. Um anyway. It's just sad. I just had to get that off my chest. I'm really emotional, and everyone's worried about Chase, and I'm
Would you?
worried too. But when is someone going to ask about Lewis?
You keep saying flower. Would you like me to get you some flowers?
Did make me really laugh. A fan, I would look it up and get his name. A fan tweeted me like in the 20 minutes after the crash and said, "Surely you're his emergency contact. Someone must have called you by now." And that really made me laugh. I did like that. So whoever you were, well done for that. That was funny. Interesting from Gio. I don't know if he wanted to disclose this information, but I pushed for it. So he said the first 6 GPs that he did as a privateer cost him 20,000 euros.
Mm-hmm.
He said that the outdoor season cost him 13,000
Mm-hmm.
euros. And then we didn't really get into SMX. But anyway, interview on Vice MX's platforms. Good insight into like the money it costs to be a privateer in MXGP versus America, where the money goes, blah 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 blah. Very adamant. Speaking of Chase, Gio, very adamant that he wants for Kawasaki's seat, and for some reason, very adamant that I'm the one that can make it happen. And I don't know why. Like this is the office meme of like shaking the hand. Like I don't know how this has
He
become
thinks
my
after the
job.
Jorge experience, you have pull.
No, every time I see him, he's like, "Tell Chase I want to be his teammate. Just tell Chase to ask for me to be his teammate." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get round to it." And he's like, "Have you spoken to Chase yet?" And I'm like, "I don't know if Chase can do this either." Like, I don't like go and talk to management, Valentin. There's a management staff that needs your attention, not me and Chase. Even
He made
after the race, Chase is fighting for his life, and Gio goes, "Go and talk to Chase." And I'm like, "It's not the time."
maybe there's a reason why this man's been a privateer if his timings have been okay.
Like, just very
31.
adamant that he wants the Kawasaki seat, and to be
Well,
honest, he may as well have it because I have no fucking idea who else is going to take it.
he made $31,000 off the purse fund for his finishing position
Well,
in SMX.
well, no one knows why or how because it's impossible to know with the points. But somehow he lost 4 positions, I think he said, at the final round overall, despite having a good day. I felt no one knows how.
Well, because Shock I mean, because triple points, yeah. Shock finally had a better night, got 12, got 30 points to Valentine's 21 points, so he jumped over him. Similar to Shane got 11th, got 33 points to Valentine's 21 and jumped him. Um, yeah, I don't think Benny jumped. Benny would have been very close with him. Yeah, Shane and Cody jumped him though. Oh, the other one is I think Hill because Hill got 10th and got 36 points. He I think jumped him.
Hmm. Well, sad for Valentin. He wanted more
Because
money.
what would it have been? So if he would have been three positions higher, if he would have been 13th, he would have made $34,000. Not a huge difference. He had to be 11th to make the big jump to 55 or to 50 grand.
Was Gio the standout of SMX or maybe even 2025? Like, do we give him? I feel like we give him his props.
I think so. There's always like, hopefully he repeats next year, but I feel like there's always that guy every year, particularly with outdoors and on, that becomes the guy of the year. Yeah, it's got to be good.
And also, actually, no, I'm not going to
Or
talk about
is
that
it
yet.
is it that or is it RJ?
Do you want to know who I want to give an honourable mention to?
Who?
Savachi. No one noticed him.
Nope,
No
ninth in
one's
the point
spoken about
standings.
him, but he's
Nobody.
been like quietly the 6 to 9 guy, which is a really good like to look at the guys in front of him, and it's like, what more could he kind of do?
Yeah,
I want to give him his dues as well. Right, are we done?
I think so. Dean survived and somehow went from being one more person. Dean went from being 23rd in points, no money, and made his way to 17th because of the final race of the season.
I We're gonna get into this. I was gonna do an article on this, but maybe this will be a podcast after the nations. I have a lot of SMX ideas. I've had a come to Jesus moment. I've got new ideas. I've got new ways to fix it. I've got new things I don't like.
Give me a hint.
Well, I so being the international man of mystery that I am, I was talking to the Daytona directors on Friday about SMX's format and how to make it better, and then it hit me because I came up with a new idea for who else was I talking to about this idea? Someone I was talking to Adam Bailey as well. Said my idea, and in my head, no one else agreed, but in my head, I was like, "This is fucking amazing, Lewis. Well done." So Friday, I've got an all new format for Friday because Friday is it's the start of the event. It's not really the start of the event. It's very informal. Got an all new format for Friday. I don't really like. I like Dean. I don't really like the like. I'm just here for the money. Don't like. I'm just here to survive and get the money. Don't think that's a good look for SMX. Think I'm cutting down on the numbers as well.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Doing a bit of a cull. Need to make sure I don't cut Gio out, otherwise he's going to come for me. I've got other things as well. Also, let's end on this quickly. So when I was talking to the Daytona people, I'll do a story on this at some point, but before March. There's no time on it. So before March, you will see this story. Stay tuned. That's exciting. Daytona
Big
have
big
said to
window.
Feld, Daytona have said to Feld, we want to run SMX. Like under no uncertain terms, they have made it very clear they want SMX. Good, bad? I don't know. I mean, it would replace
Like,
Charlotte because they want one East Coast race.
but does that mean they give up their supercross
No,
spot?
no.
Okay, do both. Okay, good. I'm in then. I'm in. As long as we're not giving up a supercross spot.
Um, yeah, and then also we were talking about they want the Supercross next year to be a 2 day event and a bit more of a 2 day
Hmm.
spectacle. So stay tuned for that if you're a Daytona regular, because there could be a bit more on that front. So it's all happening. It's all happening. I had another really good conversation with someone random about something that is
Something
going to
about
happen.
someone about something about somewhere.
Something's gonna happen that's gonna make people happy, including me, but I don't remember it, so it can't be that happy. Um, Mildly happy, we'll call it. It will come back to me eventually. Speaking of being mildly happy, that's not how I would describe my feeling about DeCal Works. Extremely happy, overjoyed, ecstatic, enthusiasm. In other words, like that, because if I head to decalmx.com, I can customize my own graphics. What? That's crazy.
What?
And there's a lot more there too. So head to decalmx.com, see what you can do for your bike. And when I say see what you can do, I mean you can do whatever you want, quite literally. There's nothing holding you back. And yeah, thanks to Decal Works for their support of this podcast. And you know what? I didn't actually do a little Yamaha spiel, did I? So let me just
Okay.
come up with one quickly. Congrats to Yamaha. Credit where it's due. Yamaha PR has come under some attack in recent times. Don't know who by.
Wonder by who.
No one knows. No one knows, and no one's happy about it, not even mildly happy. But they turned up in force at the post-race media scrum in Las Vegas with Justin Cooper, Cooper Webb. I requested Will Hahn. Out comes Will Hahn. So Yamaha, not only superb off the track with their wide range of motorcycles and pianos and other materials in between, also superb in off-track activities. So A plus all around for Yamaha. And you know what? I want to give Yamaha credit because similar to Eli Tomac, Jett and Hunter Lawrence are just phenomenal. So although the third bronze medal in SMX may not look like much, I think there's some positivity to be taken from that. I actually had another question about that as well that I was going to talk about, but I think we're done. So a lot of content for other podcasts coming up. I must make some notes. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, could keep going, but yeah, we're along in the
Okay,
tooth.
final question. Eli Tomac is leaving Yamaha. He has been Yamaha's top rider at, I'm going to take a guess, 12 of the last 14 races, 11 of the last 14 races. Certainly in SMX, Eli Tomac carried a Yamaha flag. Is that cause for, I don't want to say concern, but is that, if you're in Yamaha's headquarters, are you sat there going, oh, yeah, that's not great?
Kind of, yeah, I think just looking towards the future, I think no matter what next year, they have to temper expectations a little bit. Again, you can never, we always say this, people bet against Webb and you shouldn't. However, he has never defended a title. He'll be their top guy in Supercross. Jake Coop keep building. Outdoors will be the big question mark, like temper expectations. Eli has been their backbone there. Jake Coop is solid, but as we see time and time again, just hasn't quite gone over the hump of really putting in the result in terms of being able to win. Webb will continue to be Webb outdoors here, there, a little bit everywhere, but nothing to write home about. And then we got to wait out the Haiden situation to see how that 450 transition goes.
Yeah, you know what? I did, admittedly, I kind of overlooked for Haiden incoming when I was thinking about this. I was just thinking of a direct comparison between Eli and Coop and J Coop. Also,
Yep.
my final thought, there isn't really a place for this, and it's kind of become my little passion project. I kind of want to do a combined worldwide motocross podcast. I just don't know who with or how it would look. But there are a lot of comparisons between Cooper Webb's Supercross Championship and Fevra's MXGP Championship. Both, without doubt, not the favourites going in. Both benefited from injuries to the favourites. But in the same breath, both did all they needed to do. Both are going to come into next year with number one plates, kind of be overlooked. You know, like, I don't know. I had more on this, but there's a lot of comparisons there. And it's really quite weird to have that many similarities. And also, my final thought, congrats to Kawasaki for winning something with their 450 because by God, they needed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right.
Hey, Kawasaki, Canadian Championships, MXGP World Championship. They got a North American title and a worldwide one, just maybe not the North American title they were hoping for.
Well, let's not overlook that they got 21st in SMX. You know what's fucking funny?
They should be worse than 21st. Prado got bumped out of points, didn't he?
No, Harrison.
Oh, Harrison.
But do you want to know what's crazy?
Pitch.
I never. This can't be right. No.
Prado and Anderson went 24th and 25th in the standings back to back.
So Harrison only edged out Prado by 9 points.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't expect. Okay. I don't really understand. Harrison raced all the races and somehow only got to that point, but okay. With triple points as well? Okay. No one cares, but that's weird to me.
Because Mitchell got zero points at the final round because he got 22nd.
Okay, but the double point? Okay.
Double points got him 10 because he came in with only 2 points on seeding and Prado had 9.
Yeah, but that's not that big a difference in the seed. Like, if you're telling me that Mitchell Harrison can't make, well, he did.
The only round he really made a difference was the second round. He got 10 points for 17th. He got 0 at the final round and only 2 points at the opening round.
See, this is also another interesting conversation for a podcast because I've actually done the numbers on this. I need to start writing stuff down. I've got a lot to say. A lot to say. a lot said about like how these manufacturers need satellite teams and whatever, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Kawasaki arguably had the worst possible year for a factory team. Like it was just terrible. But in the same breath, the factory riders were still the top Kawasaki riders at 20 of the 31 races. So even when it was going terribly,
Yeah.
it was still the flagship representation. It's not like because I think a lot of people say that you need a satellite team to fall back on in the hard times. Where actually, I don't know if you do, and I was on that opinion, and it's kind of changed my take on why manufacturers need satellite teams. But another conversation for another day. Thank you, of course, to DeCal Works, Yamaha Motor USA, Yoshimura, Motorex, and Fox Racing for their support of this very podcast. Thank you to you people for listening to the Vital MX post-race show. We will have regular off-season episodes. We haven't discussed it, but in my mind, I'm thinking bi-weekly. We'll see. What I'm thinking, I've not discussed this with anyone, but in my head, what I'm thinking is this podcast
MXGP pod 1
bi-weekly.
week.
Yes,
Yep.
that's what. Which no one cares, but that's Lewis doing a podcast every week in the off-season. But you know what? Not all heroes wear capes or get credit. So I'll just soldier on. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you to the fans that stopped me at the weekend. That was great to meet you all and hear your thoughts on this podcast and others. We will see you in a couple of weeks. Well, I will see you in a couple of days to discuss the MXGP of Australia, which was an absolute incredible event and shit show at the same time. That will be a 5-hour podcast. Then we will see you next week for Motocross of Nations previews, discussion, analysis, and more. A lot coming up. Thank you for your support. We'll see you real soon.